Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine handing over uh, a really crucial task to a brilliant assistant, right?
Hmm.
Only to find out they've just completely made up the details, citing sources that don't exist, but like with total confidence.
Aha.
That's basically what's happening with artificial intelligence sometimes,
Hmm.
and it's causing, well, everything from embarrassing legal fines to huge market reactions and really frustrated customers.
Yeah, we're talking about AI hallucinations. You've probably seen the headlines. Maybe that New York attorney. His court filing had fake legal cases cooked up by AI. Cost him, what, $5,000?
Ouch, yeah, I remember that. Or there was that stat floating around. Nearly half of businesses using AI, making big strategic calls based on stuff that turned out to be just false.
Or misleading.
That's right. It's not some, tiny glitch on the fringes. It's a fundamental challenge for how we use AI, how we trust it, from, like you said, strategy in the boardroom right down to customer chats.
So what is an AI hallucination technically? Well, at its heart, it's when an AI model spits out information that sounds perfectly fine, totally plausible even, but it's factually wrong
Hmm.
or nonsensical, or sometimes just completely fabricated. It might invent numbers, get quotes wrong, mess up dates, or, like in that lawyer's case, cite sources that just plain don't exist.
And the crucial thing is, it doesn't know it's making it up, right? It's not trying to trick us.
Exactly. That's the key thing to grasp here, looking at the content we've reviewed. It's about why it happens. These models, fundamentally, they're pattern matchers, prediction engines. They're trained on just mountains of text to figure out the most likely next word, statistically speaking. Their main goal isn't truth verification against the real world. It's generating text that fits the patterns learned.
So if the training data isn't perfect, or maybe the question we ask is a bit fuzzy.
Then yeah, the model can confidently generate something that sounds right based on the patterns but is actually wrong. It's kind of like having a super fast mimic who sounds totally convincing but doesn't, actually understand the meaning behind the words.
Okay, which brings us to what we want to do in this deep dive, using the content you've shared with us. We really want to get to grips with what's actually causing these AI slip-ups. Look at their impact, which seems surprisingly wide. And, most importantly, explore the practical ways, the techniques we have now, to spot and reduce these errors. This is about giving you that valuable, impactful knowledge you need to navigate this. It's a defining challenge for AI right now.
Definitely. So let's set the scene a bit more. The scale, the consequences, they're pretty stark. You mentioned the attorney, the business is making bad decisions.
Yeah, and these aren't just abstract risks, are they? The content points to some really specific incidents, high stakes.
Absolutely. Beyond the lawyer, remember the launch of Google Bard, that initial demo? It made a mistake about the James Webb Space Telescope, said it took the very first pictures of an exoplanet,
Huh.
which wasn't true. Those first images were decades earlier. That single error, reportedly, played a part in a big, fast drop in Alphabet's market value. Billions wiped off, potentially linked to one hallucination.
Wow. That is a very public, very expensive mistake. And it's not just tech giants or lawyers, is it? The Air Canada chatbot thing, that's another great example from the content.
Oh, yeah, the chatbot. A customer asked about a bereavement fare, right?
Sure.
And the chatbot told them they could apply it retroactively after buying a full price ticket, which wasn't Air Canada's policy at all.
So happen.
Well, the airline refused the refund. The customer took them to a tribunal, and the tribunal actually sided against Air Canada, said they were liable for what their chatbot promised, even though it was wrong.
That's fascinating. So the company is on the hook for the AI's mistakes. These aren't just tech glitches. They have real legal weight, financial weight. And looking bigger picture, those stats are pretty sobering.
They really are that figure.
Hmm.
47% of enterprises using AI, making at least one significant decision based on hallucinated AI content. Almost half.
Almost half of companies potentially basing strategy on made-up information. That alone should make anyone using AI pause, right?
Exactly. And the content breaks down the kinds of decisions.
Hmm?
Strategic planning, financial stuff, hiring, operations. The fallout can be anything from, inefficiencies to major financial losses, or just heading in completely the wrong strategic direction.
And it's not just internal decisions either. You mentioned the sheer volume of this stuff getting out there.
Yeah, the content pointed to, just in the first quarter of 2025,
Hmm.
over 12,000 AI-generated articles had to be pulled, removed from platforms because they contained fabricated or false info.
12,000 in 3 months. That's
Yeah.
staggering. It really highlights the challenge for content quality, for fighting misinformation. Relying on AI output without checking seems like a massive risk.
It absolutely is.
Okay, so we've seen the AI confidently making things up, and the impact, real-world, costly results. Now let's dig into the why. According to the content, What are the root causes? Why do these smart systems sometimes just invent things?
It's really a mix of factors, all tied to how they're built and trained. One big area, as the content details, is data issues. Models learn from their training data. If that data is incomplete or contradictory, or maybe just old, or lacks good verification, then the model learns patterns that are flawed from the start.
Right. Like teaching a student from a textbook full of mistakes. They might sound like they know it, but the facts are wrong.
Precisely. Then there's the model's own tendency towards, let's say, overconfident pattern recognition. They are incredibly good at spotting linguistic links, sentence structures, so they can generate answers that sound perfect grammatically, structurally. Even if the claims inside are total nonsense, they can mistake how often words appear together for actual truth and then deliver it confidently because, hey, it fits the pattern.
So the sentence structure is flawless, but the meaning inside is just junk.
Yes, exactly. And adding to that is a fundamental lack of real-world grounding. Unlike us, these models don't live in the physical world. They don't have common sense built from, physics or knowing where things are. And unless they're specifically hooked up to external systems, they don't know what happened 5 minutes ago. They just operate in the language space of their training data. Makes it hard for them to filter out impossible stuff or understand current events.
They don't inherently know pigs can't fly unless the data somehow told them that explicitly.
Right. Then you've got model architecture constraints. The underlying tech, like the transformer architecture in many models, it's primarily optimized to predict the most likely next word or piece of a word. That's its main job, creating fluent text. Factual accuracy, that's more of a side effect, not the prime directive.
So the design itself prioritizes sounding smooth over being strictly truthful.
Correct. And there are also system limitations. AI models have a sort of memory limit for a conversation, a context window. In a long chat, they can actually forget what was said earlier, forget constraints you set, even contradict themselves because the start of the conversation is effectively gone from their memory.
Like having a poor short-term memory during a long discussion.
Exactly. There's also often an insufficient constraint definition. A lot of models aren't really built to just say, I don't know. Without that ability, that explicit boundary, they're kind of pushed to generate something for every question, even if they have to invent it to fill the space.
I'd rather guess confidently than admit you're drawing blank.
Seems to be the tendency. And finally, training objective alignment. How they're trained can matter. They're often rewarded for being helpful, engaging, sounding confident. That can accidentally encourage plausible-sounding answers over cautious ones that admit uncertainty, even if being cautious would be more accurate. The system might reward looking good over being factually right.
Wow, okay, that paints a much clearer picture. It's not just one thing, is it? It's data, the model's nature, the architecture, training goals, memory limits, all playing a part. Now, you mentioned the impact is widespread. Why should someone listening right now, maybe working in, say, retail or manufacturing, really care about AI hallucinations?
Because the potential for these errors pops up almost anywhere AI is used. The content really maps this out across loads of industries, and the consequences in each are serious but different. Take healthcare. Hallucinations there could mean patient safety risks, wrong diagnoses, suggesting bad treatments based on fake studies.
Yeah, incredibly high stakes.
It really is. In the legal world, like we saw, fake cases, bad citations, that's professional liability, major ethical problems. Financial services, they face risks like bad market data, wrong risk scores, maybe false fraud alerts, leading to poor investments, operational mess.
Decisions based on bad money data.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Right. And in education and research, you're looking at risks to academic integrity. AI citing fake research, wrong historical facts, non-existent papers, it undermines learning credible work.
For anyone in academia, that's just fundamentally damaging. What about fields maybe less focused on pure information?
Even there, journalism and media, huge reputational damage if AI generates fake news or invents sources, especially when things move fast. In tech and software, hallucinated code snippets, wrong API details. That means bugs, security holes, wasted time for developers, manufacturing and engineering. Think about incorrect safety rules generated by AI or flawed maintenance schedules for machines.
Huge safety risks there, too.
Definitely. And even down to customer-facing stuff like retail and e-commerce. Chatbots making up product details, return policies, remember Air Canada, or saying something's in stock when it isn't, leads to unhappy customers, operational problems. AI for inventory might report wrong stock levels. The point is, as AI gets into every sector, so does the risk of hallucinations causing real trouble.
Okay, the problem is clear, the scope is undeniable. But the good news, highlighted in the content, is that this isn't some unsolvable mystery, right? There are actual real strategies and techniques being used right now to spot these things and cut them down.
Absolutely. Getting to zero hallucinations in, say, a big general purpose model, that's still a huge challenge. But significantly reducing and controlling them in specific, focused applications, that is definitely doable by using the right techniques, proven techniques.
Okay, so what are some of these key methods the content talks about? How do we start to tame this beast?
Well, one of the most powerful approaches, especially for keeping AI grounded, in fact, is a retrieval augmented generation, usually called RAG.
RAG. Okay, what's that?
So instead of the AI just relying on its internal training data to answer you, a RAG system first goes and retrieves relevant info from a specific trusted knowledge source. That could be your company's internal documents, a verified database, maybe curated public data. Then the AI uses that retrieved information as the basis for its answer.
Ah, okay. So it's not just guessing based on patterns it learned ages ago. It's actually looking things up in a trusted place right before it answers.
Precisely. It anchors the AI's response in specific checkable data. That dramatically cuts down the chances of it inventing facts or citing things that aren't real. It's super useful for tasks needing up-to-date info or very specific knowledge.
That makes a ton of sense. Get the facts first, then write the response based on those facts.
Right. Another vital strategy, especially where mistakes are costly, is having a human in the loop, HITL. It just means designing processes where human experts review the AI's output before it's actually used for something critical. Could be checking a medical summary, a legal document, a financial report.
Adding that human quality check where accuracy is absolutely key.
Exactly. Humans bring common sense, context, domain knowledge, things that can spot errors that AI might miss. We also have techniques like fine-tuning. That's where you train the model further, but on a smaller, high-quality data set specific to its job. Helps it learn the reliable info for that task, reducing noise from its broader training.
Focusing its knowledge on a cleaner, specific area.
Yep. And then there's post-generation fact-checking. After the AI generates something, you have tools or people who check the factual claims against trusted external sources. A validation layer afterwards.
Like having a built-in fact-checking team for the AI.
Sort of, yeah. Prompt engineering is also surprisingly important. Just learning how to ask the AI questions clearly, specifically structured ways. That encourages better answers, less ambiguity. Asking it to cite sources or explain its reasoning step by step can help flesh out potential issues. The guide also mentions things like using confidence scoring. The model says how sure it is flagging low confidence answers for review. And using domain-specific smaller models trained just for narrow tasks tends to reduce general hallucinations.
And I guess ongoing monitoring and feedback loops to catch recurring problems and fix them.
Crucial, absolutely crucial for reliability over time. And sometimes, limiting open-ended output in really sensitive areas, you trade off some creativity for guaranteed accuracy. Now, when we talk about really advanced ways to connect AI reliably to real-world data, the content highlights the importance of something called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP.
MCP. Okay, tell us more. How does that fit into this picture?
MCP is really about giving AI models structured, reliable access to real-time information sources. Think of it as a standard, a framework that lets the AI dynamically query external databases, APIs, validated data stores. So instead of just relying on potentially old or made-up stuff from its training, the AI uses MCP to pull live, verified data when needed.
So this isn't just feeding it documents, it's like plugging it into a constantly updated, trusted stream of facts.
Exactly that. It allows true, real-time data access. It helps with source verification because the AI can point to where it got the info. And it makes sure it's working with structured, validated data, not just guessing from language patterns. MCP helps with dynamic updates, key for avoiding errors from old info. Applying these kinds of sophisticated techniques like Array and MCP is absolutely fundamental to building AI systems that are not just fluent, but actually reliable and factually grounded. And this is an area where we at Canerica put a lot of focus.
Ah, okay, so you're not just talking about these techniques in theory, you're actually implementing them.
Precisely. Using these proven methods is absolutely central to how we build reliable, context-aware AI systems. It's about moving beyond just making an AI that can chat to making an AI that can chat accurately and dependably based on real information.
Okay, so it really sounds like while wiping out hallucinations completely across all AI is maybe a huge long-term goal, significantly reducing them and building systems we can genuinely trust for specific jobs, that's absolutely within reach right now. Through using these strategies deliberately and critically, keeping that human oversight in the loop where needed.
That's the core message, really. The path forward isn't just about more powerful AI, it's about more trustworthy AI. And that's genuinely where our focus lies. We at Canerica specialize in developing and deploying purpose-built AI agents. Custom generative AI solutions designed specifically to tackle real business problems with that reliability baked in from the start.
So moving beyond the general chatbots we all hear about, towards practical tools that businesses can actually rely on day to day.
Exactly. We partner with companies in all sorts of sectors, manufacturing, retail, finance, healthcare, you name it, to implement AI not just to generate any text, but to generate accurate, actionable, and dependable insights. The goal is to use AI to genuinely improve decision-making, streamline operations, and deliver real cost savings.
And how do you ensure that crucial reliability?
Hmm.
Directly tackling the hallucination issue we've been discussing.
Reliability is just foundational to how we approach it. The AI tools we build are explicitly powered by the techniques we've talked about, like retrieval augmented generation, RAG, using model context protocols, MCP, where it makes sense. We combine those with solid data pipelines, and we integrate human-in-the-loop checks for critical steps. This makes sure the AI systems we deliver are grounded in the organization's own trusted data, they understand the context, and they're built to be genuinely dependable for practical uses like predicting demand, automating data checks, assisting with complex analysis.
It sounds like the aim is shifting from AI that just sounds plausible to AI that produces output you can actually trust and act on for core business needs.
That's exactly it. Building AI that really works, using the company's own trusted knowledge, and supporting their strategic goals with clearer, faster, and crucially smarter, reliable decisions.
Okay, so pulling this all together then, we've sort of demystified AI hallucinations, those convincing but ultimately made up AI outputs. We've dug into the complex why data issues, model design, all that. We've seen the widespread, often expensive, impact they're having across basically every industry. But crucially, we've also unpacked the powerful techniques we have now. RAG, MCP, grounding AI in facts, human oversight, careful prompting that can significantly cut down these errors. Techniques that move us towards building AI systems that are much more reliable, much more trustworthy.
It's clear that building trustworthy AI isn't just a nice idea, it's a practical must-have for any organization seriously looking to use AI's power without, falling victim to its tendency to just make things up.
Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe something for you to chew on. As AI gets more and more tangled into how we make decisions, how we get information, our daily routines, what's that evolving balance between tapping into its amazing power and the absolute non-negotiable need for our own human critical thinking, our own verification? What responsibility falls on the AI creators, on the companies deploying it, and maybe most importantly, on us as individuals consuming AI-generated content every day to question it, to check it, and to really understand the limits of what these systems are telling us? It feels like a fundamental question that's going to shape how we live and work with AI going forward.